for. The dissertation, which is my name, Umar Abd-Allah, Malik's concept of amal. Malik's concept of amal in the light of Maliki legal theory, which was written here at the University of Chicago, I won't tell you how many years ago, but before some of you were born. You can get it over in the library, and it's on PDF, and you can also get it through Bell and Howell. And as we look at the Sunni schools, almost everything that I say will be there. Another book is Devin Stewart, Islamic Legal Orthodoxy. This, in my mind, is an extremely good book. Came out in 1998. The main interest of Devin Stewart is how do we understand the development of the schools of law in the context of the development of the peripheral schools, especially the Shia schools. So Devin Stewart is fundamentally concerned with the Twelver Shia school, the Imami Ja'fari school. He talks about Zaydis, he talks about Ismailis, but he's fundamentally concerned in the Twelver Shia. But he's concerned in it from the standpoint of a historian who sees that there are a lot of complexities that pertain to the development of the schools. And that if we look at the development of the Shia in particular, it not only is instructive in its own right, but also it enables us better to understand how the Sunnis developed. And it's a really good book. In my opinion, it is extremely excellent work. Now, these books I've called secondary, and I mean by that we'll take tangential topics from them. But first of all, I'd like to bring your attention to Abu Zahra. So those of you who read Arabic, Abu Zahra is really a very valuable resource. And for you, you might even regard his books to be a primary resource. He was a great scholar at Azhar University. He died in 1978. And Abu Zahra wrote a lot of books, but he wrote books about the great Imams. So he has a book on Imam Malik, on Imam Abu Hanifa, on Ash-Shafi'i, on Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal. He has a book on Imam Zayd, the eponym, the founder of the Zaydi school. He has a book on Imam Ja'far, the eponym of the Twelver school, the Ja'fari school. He has a book on Ibn Hazm, which deals with the Zahiri school. And he has some other books as well. And Abu Zahra is really good. Now again, as we said before, it's always important what questions you ask. And it's equally important what answers you want to get. Now, Abu Zahra, in the kind of questions that he asks and the kind of answers that he wants, is very much a Muslim in the modern world who wants to make sense of the law schools and especially wants to be able to break down the sectarian divisions between Sunni and Shia and between the different Sunni schools, which have sometimes, often been, in fact, in the past, one of the legacies of the development of these schools. So Abu Zahra is very open-minded, very broad-minded. Again, he is an Arab Muslim scholar who doesn't read English or French or German. And that means also that a lot of the questions that Orientalists ask, again, when you show them the ointment, they see the flies in the ointment. And they want to know, like, how'd that fly get there? And look, there's another fly. And look, there's another one too. You've got to tell me about the flies. Well, he's not really interested in the flies in the ointment. He's interested more in the greatness of the classical tradition as he understands it. And again, he is a historian, and he tries to relate the development of the schools to history. So he's a very useful source. And in my dissertation, I depend very heavily on him, especially to get classical materials. So if you can read Arabic, Abu Zahra is extremely valuable. I would say indispensable. But if you can't, then also in my dissertation, you'll see that I always quote from Abu Zahra. Wa'il Hallaq, who's at McGill University, is one of the leading scholars in Islamic law today. Orientalists have, in my opinion, contributed a great deal to Islamic studies. And, they, of course, always ask the questions that are foremost in their mind. But because they have another perspective, their questions are very valuable. And even if we don't always accept the answers, and of course, the scholarly tradition doesn't necessarily accept the answers, especially after the years go by and new things come to light. But they tend to ask the kind of questions that a Westerner would ask. And even if you take Muslim converts who are in Islamic studies programs here at the University of Chicago or at Harvard or Yale or Cambridge or Oxford or wherever they might be, you'll see that they also always think outside the box. Just like Scott Lucas in his recent dissertation here at the University of Chicago. He's fundamentally interested in things that are really important historically, but might never occur to a classical scholar. Okay, so Wa'il Hallaq is, I think, one of the great contributors, and he has a book that just has come out called The Origins and Evolution of Islamic Law. This has just come out, and I haven't read it, but I have a copy of it. I have actually the manuscript of it, but he's very good. And then he has also a history of Islamic legal theories, which we'll probably talk about later on. We'll incorporate that somewhat. Harold Motsky, Origins of Islamic Jurisprudence. This is another great work, a really, really excellent work. Jonathan Brokop, Competing Theories of Authority and so forth. He has articles. Jonathan Brokop is one of the leading scholars. And then this book I want to draw particular attention to. And we'll talk a little bit about Maqdisi tonight. George Maqdisi, who passed away last year, was an Arab Christian, and so is Wa'il Hallaq. Arab Christians often make immense contributions to Arabic and to Islamic studies. And